Hey guys, we made it to season 5 of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and in this season, we aim to empower and embrace creativity through diversity as we dive into the fascinating stories and experiences of a diverse range of individuals, highlighting their unique perspectives and creative endeavors, from artists and entrepreneurs to innovators and activists. We celebrate the power of diversity in driving creativity and fostering positive change. Join us as we engage in thought-provoking conversations like
I made myself intentionally homeless in pursuit of my purpose.
We're aware that a lot of people want to present and they were in my position, and what's worse, they weren't a white male, which is a joke that's even still a thing.
I think my family never ever say you can't do something, so full of support for whatever dream. If I said tomorrow I want to fly to the moon, they'll probably say I wish you all the best, Mel.
So guys, I just want to say thank you for supporting the Us People podcast for the past 5 years, and we look forward to sharing another new theme song with you. Let's go.
To overcome a lot of obstacles.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People Show. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I'm excited because I have Nathaniel here with me. He's a multi-award-winning entrepreneur. He's also an international speaker, a business coach, an engineer, a pilot, and he is also the founder of the Safety Box. Nathaniel, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People Show. How are you?
It's really great to be with you this evening, Savia, man. I tell you what, your voice can put me to sleep. It's so calm. Listen, amazing to be here with you this evening. Thank you for having me on the LCBN Television UK network. Fantastic.
You are more than welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I know we've had a discussion even before we started the show, which was such an ambient discussion even before we started. But I'm going to get right into it with my first question for you. So, Nathaniel, could you tell me about your background, where you grew up, and how that influenced you to be the person who you are today, but also the structure and your mindset that you wanted to channel your energy in a constructive way to create change and reflect in your life?
You know, I come from a Jamaican family, so, you know, a lot of the principles of Jamaican households is what I grew with. And, you know, it has been such a powerful, you know, experience growing up in a Jamaican home because, I don't know, Jamaicans are just movers and shakers. Honestly, it doesn't matter where they create a big impact, you know, whether that be a Saint Bolt or a Bob Marley or, you know, I go into countries in Africa and you see that. So, you know, growing up in that family, I always had this can-do attitude that my parents instilled into me. Very, very, you know, very spiritual home in terms of faith. Faith was a big part of my upbringing. And I grew up in an area of North London known as Tottenham. At the time, I was a child in the 1985 riots. And, you know, there's a lot of issues going on in the area at the time of racism. And I went into a British secondary school, which unfortunately didn't understand my mind at the time because I actually am an adult that has discovered I have ADHD. But, you know, I don't see it as a neurodiverse disability. I see it as a hyper-focused ability.
Yes.
And you know, so I really went into a school and they really didn't get me. I wasn't really a bad student because my primary school education was really, really good. I was exceptional in maths at primary school, but when I went to secondary school, everything just went pear-shaped because they weren't teaching me the right way.
Yes.
I didn't do well at school. I started to hang out with the wrong people, you know, and I didn't do too well in my GCSEs because of the lack of I would say the lack of inspiration which I found in the classroom, the boredom which I got, and I think that was attributed to ADHD. I couldn't really hold my attention. It didn't mean I wasn't academically able. It just meant that they perhaps weren't used to teaching a Black child. Again, being in a system where there was a lot of white people that were teaching me, with the perception of Black people at the time that I was in Tottenham,
Yeah.
they deemed me just like the perception that they had. And I think there was levels of racism and discrimination in my school. Consequent to that, I didn't do well in my GCSEs, and I had to hustle my way into college based off of my friend's enrollment letter. And I got into a college, and I had to queue up in the A-level physics line because I wanted to always be in engineering or aviation. That was the two things that I kind of had in my mind. But I'd failed maths, I'd failed science, I passed English, I'd passed all the subjects which weren't scientific, and I got 4 GCSEs. You need 5 to get into college.
Yeah.
Hence, I had to use my friend's enrollment letter to get into the college. I queued up in the queue, got to the front. The man said, "You haven't got your grades. You're going to have to repeat your GCSEs." So I got up again. I walked around. Remember what was happening on the streets at the time? A lot of crime and violence was happening. A lot of gang issues were happening in the area. And I queued up again for another hour. Got to the front. The man said, "You haven't got your grades. You're going to have to repeat your GCSEs." And I got up again and I walked around again, and I always remembered that, my dad saying to me, "Don't let anybody tell you can't achieve anything." And my dad being a Jamaican, my dad would say to me, "Nathaniel, unless you get into college, I got kicked out of the house. Get into college, I got kicked out of the house." That's what my dad said to me, right? So I knew I had to get into college. The third time I queued up, the man said to me, and he looked at me as this Black boy. I could see this, just this, "Why are you here? You don't belong here," in his eyes. And he said to me, "How did you get into the college?" Started to create a big fuss because I didn't have the grades. The woman sitting next to him was Anita, the head of the physics department. And she said, "Look, I've seen you come back 3 times. Anyone with that level of drive and determination,
Exactly.
I'm sure you're A-level in physics." She says, "I'm going to put you onto an AS level on the condition you pass your AS level physics. I will allow you to go to the second year, and you have to repeat your GCSE maths in college because you're going to need it for university."
Exactly.
It was at that moment that I understood that there was a guiding light to me. I believe in God, and I think that this was just telling me, "Go, just keep going," right? And I tell you, I realized at that point that no doesn't mean no unless I accept it to be a no.
Yes.
And that philosophy has stuck with me. Getting into college, going on, I went on to university. I did engineering at university, and I went into my career in different fields post university. But I mean, all of this was based upon the understanding that my parents instilled in me, that really strong Jamaican kind of education and everything them give you. But on top of that, it was my faith and my belief in the Most High, as well as understanding mentally that I can do, and I'm only gonna basically experience the no if I accept it to be that no.
This is
And
what.
so that's sort of kind of my coming up. It didn't mean I wasn't able. It just it just meant that the people weren't teaching me in the appropriate way for me to learn at my optimum level. And because of the neurodiverse condition, I became bored. And that oftentimes happens with our Black boys in schools. They become bored, or you have neurodiverse conditions with children in schools, and they misdiagnose their neurodiverse conditions. And as a result of that, they're put into classrooms saying that they've got behavioral issues because, parents can't afford the tests or whatever it may be. So for me, it was, I think a lot of that struggling through to get in has helped me in my journey of life, and that, if there's no obstacles on your road, it means your road's not going on anywhere. And the fact that there were obstacles on my road in my early years, having to navigate, what's happening with juvenile criminality,
Yes.
and also the issues of poverty in the area, and understanding this high expectation of my parents to achieve. I think having to navigate that as a young person really has given me a lot of the skill sets that I've gained to attack life in the way that I've attacked it.
See, this is what I love to hear. That's one thing I've noticed, that it also happened to me. So when you said that to me, I resonated with it straight away, because I was in the line 3 times just to do IT. He was the
Listen, Savia.
same thing. And I went in every level. And it was funny. I went into, because I didn't have the grades, I went into foundation first, and I spoke to the teacher. And the teacher was being the same way. I went into Indian, but I went up. I went up the
You
chain.
went up.
I went up the chain because I said to myself, no. And I said, I'm not going to keep going in the same line. So I went to foundation, then I went to intermediate, then I went to advanced. And guess which one gave me the class? The advanced teacher said, if I let you do your GCSEs with me in the classroom, so you can take them in as extra classes, you can do advanced. And guess who got the highest marks in the class?
You see what I'm saying? Exactly.
This is what I mean. It's
That's
about
it.
you not letting someone put you down, take away your drive. And people will do that,
Totally.
because a lot of the time people see your potential and see your light and see how bright you shine. They want to take that away from you because
Absolutely.
their light is either been diminished by somebody else who they let in to be able to do that. And that's why I always say to people, you only allow the emotion. If somebody says something to you, Nathaniel, you are in charge of what you let affect you emotionally inside.
Exactly.
You are. No one else can do
Exactly.
it. Only
Exactly.
you can. That's why when you said that, I loved it, because I totally resonated with it. So, Nathaniel, can you define who you are as a person, but also who do you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, has there ever been a time where you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did you manage to go from a person that you wasn't necessarily happy with, spiritually or mentally or physically, to being the person where you're saying, you know what, this is the person who I want to be positively and have a purpose in life?
That is an absolutely power-packed question that you've just thrown at me, Savia. I mean, it has been it's been a colossal journey, and I define myself as a man of faith,
Yes.
man of belief, and a man of purpose. And that's how I define myself. With regards to the second part of your question, in terms of looking at yourself and not recognizing who you are, I went through an incredible trauma, and this trauma sent me into depression. Now, mental health amongst men is a major issue.
Yeah.
And even though I had things that I'd achieved and done, it sent me into depression, because the mental health, the crisis that I went through, peeled away my self-image. And when you have these intense traumas, my first marriage ended in divorce, and it was a horrible battle through the courts, fighting for my son. And not many people will know that. However, during that period, it really strained my mind. It strained me so much. And coming through a place of success, going into a place of struggling with mental health, for me, looking at myself, I couldn't believe this was the same person. And it was only through the intense support network that I had, as well as the prayers and everything that I was doing, the meditation, the self affirmations, the building of my character back up, and understanding that I'm loved, and understanding I was capable to raise that self-esteem again. That helped me to come back up. And I'm happy that I'm no longer in those phases. However, it gives me an understanding, and I believe that a lot of the things I've experienced is so that I have the ability to help other men. It's so that I have the ability to help other people. It's so that I have lived the experience of struggling with mental health, so I can speak words of life into the person that is struggling with mental health themselves, to understand it on a level that is deeper than any other level. Because when you've been through it, you have that lived experience, giving you the power and the ability to then lift someone out of the darkness. So for me, I believe it was just part of my journey. It's part of my journey to go through that intense sort of childhood where I was struggling and weighing in between success with criminality, right? Weighing up academia, weighing up education with criminality, understanding what success looked like by achieving certain things, going through an immense trauma, and then coming out the other side. I think that has given me such a drive for life and understanding of where I can be. Another point in my life where I looked at myself and couldn't see myself was after I recovered from COVID-19.
Yes.
I almost died from COVID. I was in the ICU and I almost lost my life. My breath literally was taken away from me. I couldn't breathe properly. And coming through that immense pain in my chest, every time I breathe, and when I was walking, I walk like a granddad. I mean, I'm an active person. I'm used to sport. I'm going to the gym. I'm running. I'm doing all these things. And so basically, getting COVID-19, I didn't recognize myself. So I'm walking like a granddad. I try and walk 4 steps, and I'm feeling tired. And I don't recognize myself there. But again, just faith, determination, drive, prayer, just all of those things helped me. And that's why when my breath came back to me and I was fully functional again, the first thing that I was doing was I was jumping. I played the saxophone. The first thing I did was just jump on the sax, and I started to play the saxophone because I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for my breath. And that basically helped me to deepen, in fact, my faith, because I believe that without faith, it's impossible to do things. You have to have that faith in order for you to achieve. You've got to believe. If you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. If you speak the words into existence, they can take life. And that's why it's so important that the words we speak back into ourselves are filled with life. The words we talk to our children, the things we say to our children have to be filled with life, that their minds can actually step up to a higher level. And just reaffirming that to yourself, it shows a level of self-love. And when you have self-love, that is when you're able to power through many situations, many scenarios, and just keep a healthy mind. So a lot of the things I do now is to stop myself and putting the boundaries in place so I never, ever end up being in a mental health crisis again. I don't want to go back to that place. I've been through it, and now I use that pain and turn it directly into purpose to help those who are suffering themselves.
See, this is what I love to hear, because there's somebody out there who needs to hear those words. There's someone going through this right now that we don't know is going through it right now and needs to hear those words, especially from a man's perspective. The reason why I say that, a lot of men hide their emotions through,
Absolutely.
and that's usually because of, it could be anybody in your family or your friends who say that men are meant to hide their emotions. You're meant to be strong. You're not meant to cry with. That's not true at all.
Mm-hmm.
Showing your vulnerability shows that you are humane inside,
Mm-hmm.
and you have emotions that need to be shared and can help someone else to understand their emotions. So that's why I love the fact that you say that. So one of the questions I do want to ask you is, in our lives, we all have role models, people who inspire us to be who we are, and the reason why we are the way we are. So when I ask you, who are the people who have been an inspiration and role models in your life where you can say, you know what, this person has taught me how to be this way or taught me not to be this way? Is there any role models in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I've had role models. I think probably the greatest role models have been those who are closest to me. So I'm talking about my dad.
Yes.
My dad and my mum, both of them have been role models to me. I've also had lots of, teachers around me. So, for example, my English teacher at school was a role model. He's dead now, but Mr. Henry, he was a teacher that could see that the black boys in his class were struggling with the maths teacher that perhaps was racist.
Yeah.
And he taught us maths after school. He was an English teacher teaching us maths after school.
That's
And,
education.
there are other people like, my martial arts teacher as well, who guided me when I was actually setting up a dojo in my university, individuals that have suffered with mental health. And they helped me too. The fact that they came out of it, individuals that suffered the same thing that I suffered, those types of individuals have been all role models to me. And it's not surprisingly, it's not some of the big people that I've met. It's actually the people that have been closest to me, because they have had the greatest impact. My A-level physics teacher, the fact that she reached out to me and got me onto that course, she was actually someone that I thought, wow, she was such a good role model for me. So it's been people that have had the greatest impact in my life. Those are the ones which are the role models. And understanding, even to talk about this mental health issue as well, 77% of polled men have suffered with symptoms of mental health conditions, anxiety, stress, and depression. And 40% of that have never spoken about it. So the people that helped me through that, to talk, really were role models to me as well. Understanding that you can get through it, understanding that it doesn't matter where you start, doesn't matter where you are in the middle, it matters where you finish.
Exactly.
And so those people are, they're constant guides. And I've picked up sort of little things from some of the very successful people that I've had. More recently I've had someone within the aristocrat circle that has been guiding me a little bit as well, which is good. And I've had billionaire advice as well, which has been given to me through some of the people that I've met. And so, but the real role models, I would say, have been the ones which are closest, nearest, and dearest to me, that have had the greatest impact in my life. The best teachers, my dad, my parents, my mom, my martial arts teacher, and those that are close to me.
Let's talk about the safety box. This is something that I was literally, when I was doing my research, because I love doing research about every guest who comes on the show, because it tells me so much about them. But also when I'm asking the questions to them, it's more, I have an understanding of exactly what you do and your purpose of what you do in the world to help other people. So I know that you founded the safety box, but what was it in you that triggered that light in you to say, I'm going to do this safety box to help other people?
Well, I was going on my journey. When I went after I finished university, I went over to the United States of America, and I qualified as a pilot. During this aviation journey, I achieved my dream. I always say you should never allow your dream to become a regret. And I achieved this dream, but I started to think about what was happening in my community. I started to think about the knife crime. I started to think about what was happening with my community, and I saw lots of young people that were just like me. In that, if I didn't have parents that were really trying to keep me on path, that were threatening me, threatening to kick me out of the house and all of that stuff, if I didn't have those people that had spoken into my life in my early years, if I didn't have those individuals like Anita, the head of the physics department, to get me into college, what would have happened? Where would I have ended up? What would I have gotten into? I may have ended up like many of my friends, some of them who died, some of them who went to prison. And so I thought, there's other young people like that are struggling. And I said, I need to do something. And it was after a friend lost his son. A close family friend lost his son, and I said, I really need to push this a little bit more. And so I founded the Safety Box, which is a multi-award-winning social enterprise which supports young people at risk. It was born out of the great need to proactively address all the growing concerns of antisocial behavior, violence, low self-esteem, gang violence, county lines, issues with child sexual exploitation, bullying, all of the ills that a young person can face. And the whole idea of it was basically everything inside the box, the interventions, the curriculum, everything that we do, the support service, everything inside the box is designed to keep a young person safe. And so thus I had the Safety Box as the name of the organization. The colors of blue and white, recognizing a connection to heaven and earth, the sky, and just showing that there is the ability for success despite where they come from, and to create a positive impact in their lives. And so we've achieved a lot. We've had a measured impact of working with over 25,500 young people in the UK. Last year, delivering over 35,000 hours worth of mental health support for young people and one-to-one support. Achieved some really high levels of violence reduction in some of the most violent youth prisons in the country. A 95% reduction in one youth prison when we partnered up with SOS and Cure Violence to deliver that adapted intervention, as well as other interventions in our flagship program, now the Aspire Higher program, which I wrote with business partner Christopher Cyrus in developing a new curriculum in personal development, violence reduction, and trauma therapy to help them to elevate and to be more successful. And that has been really supported by the London Violence Reduction Unit, who has funded our organization, as well as other bodies such as the Metropolitan Police or even MOPAC, and other funders that have helped us, Hatch Enterprise, as well as PwC Foundation, and various other different entities that have supported the work of the Safety Box to ensure that we can actually impact lives for young people, ultimately awakening that potential and keeping them safe. so that they have the ability to engage in life, in employment or education.
The one thing I do want to ask you, is there a specific story that you remember that recollects in your mind that you've either helped someone, especially the reason why I asked this, we were speaking about mental health not so long ago. And one of the things that creep up with mental health is suicide, especially at a young age, especially with young men. Is there a story that you are allowed to share where you have helped anybody within the organization of helping within the safety box, where you've helped them with mental health or suicide? The reason why I'm asking this is because we need more stories told like this, because young boys are being put down, and when they are being put down, they then decide they've had enough and go into a place that is a dark place. So I want to bring out the positivity of what you do to show them that there are stories where it may start within a bad place but go into a successful story where we see positivity.
Well, within the work at the safety box, we work within prisons as well. And in prisons, that's probably the lowest place for many people. Not necessarily talking about suicide, but talking about mental health.
Yeah.
When we do one-to-one work with them, it is it's so impactful, because you unpick a lot of the stories. When we have the therapeutic process with them, it really offloads many of the negative things. And when you ask them at the end of a program, like I did last week with an offender, what did you get out of the program? And his response was hope. And that's such a powerful statement of sort of impact again around mental health. However, I have helped people that have wanted to commit suicide outside of the framework of the safety box, but they've tapped into me as an individual to help them, support them, and that has been really, really just it's been difficult, but we've had breakthroughs with individuals. Fortunately, the people that I have helped have not committed suicide. Suicide is a major issue, and it's to give people hope in a place of darkness when everything seems to be going wrong. When you have the ability to just reach down and touch them and just give them that level of light, it is such a powerful turnaround for them. So there has been work that I've done with individuals that have reached out to me and disclosed, in fact, that they feel suicidal, and I've helped those. But in the safety box, we haven't worked with any young people that have been suicidal. However, we have worked with men in prison that have suffered from mental health conditions because of the traumas of their former life, and we've supported them through a therapeutic process.
I love the way you said that, because I know there are so many people in the world that will be going through something, like I said, and they need that support in there. And just having your organization being able to do this. One of the questions that I do want to ask you is, how is your organization? There are different organizations that do something similar to what you do, Nathaniel. How do you believe that your organization is different from theirs?
Firstly, I want to shout out all the third sector organizations working in the space. Everybody is doing a great job in their lane. We basically have a evidence-based approach to all of our work. So what that means is that we utilize university studies to improve and to do our work. We employ a public health model approach in our ability to intervene, which is an evidence-based intervention strategy within our theory of change that we have for young people. We use credible messengers, those with lived experience. Oftentimes, they are ex-offenders themselves and have the ability to build a rapport very quickly with the young people we're working with. We pack that with life coaching and mental health support, CBT work. We also, where a lot of organizations do not have the mental health support for young people, we have that. Where other organizations don't have the life coaching for it, we have that. Where the other organizations can't show them a practical way to defend themselves against a knife, they say, take the knife out of your hand. Like, don't carry the knife. And the young person say, boy, do you know what? I'm like, I'm on the ends and it's still left. I need to carry a shank to protect myself, and it's still.
Yeah.
Right. And for those people who are watching, don't understand what I said, they've got to carry a knife for protection.
Yeah.
Because there's gangs or whatever might be in the area. And so what we do is we train their minds with the resilience against it, and then we give them real practical self-defense against knives, meaning that they don't feel the need to use a knife for protection. There's not many organizations that are equipped with all of these types of evidenced interventions, and that sets us in a place of uniqueness in terms of, especially around the gross motor functional self-defense tactics that we have against weapons and knives.
Nathaniel, the one thing I do want to ask you is, you do so many things in your life. How do you find time for yourself? How do you break the barrier of work and saying, I need time for Nathaniel, I need time for family, I need time to think? Because when I read up about you, I'm thinking, where does Nathaniel find time for himself?
So firstly is that all of these things have not been done at once. They've been done over a period of time. So one accomplishment, another accomplishment, couple accomplishment. Prioritizing myself is critical. So even right now, I'm going to be going to bed before 10 o'clock. That is to ensure I've got proper sleep. In the morning, I will wake up probably about 4:30. That is my time for spiritual devotion, prayer, and my spiritual time that I have in the quietness of the morning. And then I basically might do a little bit of exercise and a bit of stretching. That's very important for me because, you know, I do martial arts as well, and you know, to keep my body supple. I ensure that I don't do any work on a Friday. From about probably 4 o'clock, I start winding down. I don't do anything on a Saturday. I completely off on a Saturday. I don't do anything. I don't go to events. That is my time. That's family time. That's our time. That is a sanctified time. That is a unrestricted priority on my time. I don't do it. I don't anything on that during that time. That is my time. There's other things which I do, you know, which I find, you know, really good for myself, which is my hobbies. Like I do martial arts, I play music, and oftentimes I will go for my walks. The walks are really important because it clears my head, and oftentimes I go on a walk because I live in the countryside now. I don't live in London anymore, so I'm in the country, and so I have the ability to go and walk in nature, and that is one of the most calming experiences you can have. You know, you have the ability to connect with nature. You have the ability to listen to the birds. You actually notice things. Your head is more clear because you're getting that nice oxygen, which is fuel to your brain. You know, it's just so peaceful. And the walking is really great for your health as well. So these are the things which I do to ensure that I stay up. And sometimes when I do feel low, because that does happen, you know, because of circumstance or situations, what I do is I then speak back into myself. I will write down gratitude messages to myself. I say, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for this. I'm great. And, you know, very quickly my mood's picking back up. And that's the hormone known as dopamine. Understanding emotional regulation with the hormones and understanding visualization as well, where you close your eyes and you literally imagine that you're in a different place, a different environment. That helps your brain to be still. Sleeping with my phone outside of the room when I go to bed as well. These are lots of things that, you know, I've implemented in my life. A lot of them have come post COVID-19 because I haven't always been this disciplined. But, you know, this discipline is something which I've taken from my COVID-19 experience of almost dying and implemented this into my life. You know, other ways, I use salad master pots, titanium pots. So I'm keeping all the goodness of the food. I'm a vegetarian, stroke vegan. So there's, I do have these treats now and again. Like, today I had a chocolate cake, for example. I shouldn't listen anyway, but it's like there's things which I do that that for the betterment of myself, the betterment of my body. Before, like, if going to an event means I'm gonna miss sleep, I'm not gonna go to the event because I'm prioritizing me. And that basically meant I could have the ability to choose what I go to and choose what I plug into.
That's it.
And that is then good for my body. So even if it involves a drive, if the drive is going to be long, whereas before I might do a drive up and a drive back down, it is booking a hotel to ensure I have ample rest and then driving back when I'm rested. So, all of these strategies I put into my life.
Love it.
I was pretty disciplined before, but I'm more disciplined now.
Let's talk about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is and success are defined in so many different ways. You know, people could define success as waking up in the morning, as you say, you know, dealing with cancer every day, you know, listening to your favorite song, just waking up in the morning and seeing a brand new day. So when I talk about entrepreneurship, can you give me your definition of what entrepreneurship, but also another part to the question is, how do you feel like you are a advocate for people who are unrepresented, especially in different ethical groups, you know, and cultures? So to show them that they can aspire to be what they want to be as entrepreneurs in any industry.
Yeah, so you know, for me, entrepreneurship is the ability to create, it's the ability to create something and own it and run it successfully as a business. It's to make money. It is to have profit with purpose, because I'm a social entrepreneur. And so it's not just about creating profit, it's about creating impact with the money. And so when you're making that profit, it has to have a purpose to it. And so entrepreneurship is that ability to have an idea and allow that idea to manifest into something that can be successful as a business, that's making money and is profitable, but on top of that, you know, that makes an impact. I really like to get involved in ways to support entrepreneurs. I've been part of this Global Entrepreneurship Alliance since the G20 summit that I was invited to as a younger entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship, and getting people to do business when they want a career change is something that I've supported a number of business mentees on,
Yeah.
and a lot of them have been, you know, from the global majority of Black and brown people. You know, these individuals have managed to get their businesses working, and you know, that has been through one-to-one coaching that I've given them around business. I'm involved in a lot of other sort of schemes, so I help the EY Foundation.
Yeah.
I was a former trustee of the EY Foundation, one of the co-founding trustees. I'm now a patron, and they support young people around the United Kingdom that come from marginalized communities with homes that have less than £21,000 income a year, with young people that access free school meals, and they support them into work. And they're doing that in 18 locations around the UK. A number of them come from diverse communities, and they are and would be deemed as being underrepresented. In addition to that, I am an advisory board member to Lloyd's Banking Group, which has literally disrupted over the last 3 years. I mean, it's led by a very good friend of mine, Claudine Reed, MBE, and a power team of Black successful entrepreneurs that are supporting Lloyd's Banking Group to provide products and things for Black entrepreneurs, to ensure that they have equity in everything that they do, to ensure they have that support framework around banking, to ensure that they get those loans, to ensure that they have the incubation through things like Foundervine, which is run by another good friend and also an advisory board members rather of the actual Lloyds Bank Black Advisory Board, and this has all been to support Black entrepreneurs. I would encourage every single Black person to sign up with Lloyds Bank. I'm serious. Listen, sign up with Lloyds Bank, because if you're a Black entrepreneur, understand that they're going to help you. All right. We are putting in a race. We're helping them with a race action plan. There's been so much that's come out of that relationship. And, you know, even when we're talking about the recent campaign on Channel 4, if you've seen any of those Black entrepreneurs with Judy Love, that has been as a result of Lloyds Bank partnering up with Channel 4 to do that. The amount of entrepreneurs that have been through the incubation and the accelerator with the Foundervine, the amount that have plugged in via the Black Business Network, which is Shari that runs that. She's also an advisory board member. There's just so much opportunities there, and we're really disrupting that space in the financial sector. You know, other areas I've been involved in sort of assisting the Metropolitan Police with stuff around equitable, let's say, policing. I'm going to say, you know, that is an absolute beast. However, I've seen the greatest level of investment into the learning and development department of the Metropolitan Police, whereby a number of community facilitators, ranging from ex-offenders to those who have been domestically abused, to individuals coming from marginalized communities, Black people, Asian people, people that have different persuasions in terms of their sexuality, etc. And all of this has been utilized as a way to train new officers, so they come with a much more human approach, much more respectful approach to the community. And this is as a huge effort to try to help to build trust in the community with police. So I've been involved in some of that work as well too. And I chair the Brunel advisory board for the business school, and that again is looking at creating equitable opportunities for the Black business students that are there, and also part of their MBA program in supporting them there. And another area has been really to be an advocate for the Jamaican diaspora living in the United Kingdom, as I'm the elected member of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, as a representative for the South United Kingdom, meaning that I can help out with various different diaspora issues. I'm a consultative advisor to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade in Jamaica, in helping and supporting them in diaspora-related connections, investments, wealth generation in the communities, and supporting those that have a Jamaican heritage, those being first, second, third, fourth, fifth generation Jamaicans living in the United Kingdom, to assist them in most of their things that they have and problems that they might encounter with Jamaica also, and to just create those pathways so that heritage and the identity can have some level of influence over them, because oftentimes you find people that are Black living in England, oftentimes they will say they're from their host country, even though they're born in that country. When they go to their host country, the host country says, "You're British."
That's so true. You're English, yeah.
There's a great identity problem that exists amongst second and third and fourth generations, and so it's really to give them that identity. Jamaica loves its diaspora, and they're calling the Jamaicans home. In fact, we have a conference coming up, so any Jamaicans that are watching this, June is the dates. All right, June 16th to 19th, we're going to be having the Jamaica Diaspora Conference, and inviting all of those people to plug into it. Definitely plug into Jamaica if you want to find out about health. Well, if you want to get involved in investment and trade, if you want to set up a business there, if you want to connect with government there, if you want to do things, the Diaspora Conference is the place for you to be. And so connect with me.
I'll be there.
Via my website, nathanielpeat.com, and you can find the Global Jamaica Diaspora tab, and you'll be able to then connect with me there. Looking for sector specialists as well. So if you've got any interest in sort of education or health or crime and violence or investments and trade, anything like that, then I'll be interested to hear from you. So I'm creating impacts in all of these places around ethnicity, and trying to ensure that it's equitable for people.
I love the fact that you're doing that. There's so much more to be done, but there is so much more that we are doing, which shows, because past generations have been through so much. It's nice to make an easier pathway for the generations that are coming in. So I love to hear that. One of the things that you were talking about to me, Nathaniel, is music. And that's one of the things I love. That's one of the things I do. So my question for you is, if there was one song that was the soundtrack of your life.
Oh my goodness, that's a hard question.
And why would you choose that?
You can't ask that question.
I so can.
You can't ask that question.
You've got enough energy for it.
No, man. Listen, man. Oh my goodness. That is that's a hard question. I mean, the track for my life, that's too difficult, because I love music too much.
There you go.
I love music too much. It's a very, very tough question. I'm not able to answer that, because there's a few songs I think that would define me. It's very I can't answer that question. I don't have an answer for you. I'm so sorry. I love music. I cannot answer that question. There's not one song. You cannot do that. I have many songs which I can relate to many, and I'm a musician. I play the saxophone, so a lot of music really resonates with me, and I cannot ever put it down to one thing. It'd be very difficult, very difficult. I can't answer that question. Can't answer that question.
So, okay, I'm going to tally the second half of the question. Okay. So the second, when did you realize or learn that language had power and presence in what you do and how you do it?
When I the first time I was told to tell my life story, what happened, I was talking to, and I realized that my life story actually helped somebody to feel inspired. I was like, what? Wait a sec, something's happening here. And then what happened was I began to just talk. I began to just share my experience. And as I began to share my experience, the words became life. Understanding this word that is written, the power of life and death is in your tongue. And whoever loves it is going to eat its fruit. So if I'm speaking words of life, I want the fruit to come out of power and life. And understanding that, that turned me into a motivational speaker, because I realized that I had a story to tell, and I realized that my life had a purpose, that my voice was important, that my dreams counted. Everything was there, that I had purpose in my life, which was to inspire other people. And so I became a motivational speaker. And that was one thing that I kind of just fell into, just from someone asked me about my life, and they were inspired by what I said, and I thought to myself, wow, my life's inspiring. Okay, all right, and I began to just say it even more, and then that's led me to do various different motivational talks on being leaders, how to be an effective leader, to how to speak professionally, things about unlocking your self-esteem and unlocking confidence, and helping individuals basically to break a negative mindset, helping people to transition in careers, with one-to-one type of coaching. It's helped me, and I understand the power of my voice. I was in a prison, in fact, talking up in Cambridge, HMP High Point, and one of the offenders there, after listening to my speech, he said to me that he started to cry, and he actually went back to his cell, and he said he's no longer going to take this drug, which is spice. He's made up his mind. And it was and all of this is an understanding of what the power of your voice can do. And everybody has got a story. An offender said to me once, I've been through too much to turn out ordinary. And many people have been through too much to turn out ordinary. We need more people to share their story, to provide inspiration to younger people, to show youth that it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish, to show them that they're limitless in their potential, to give them this attitude that they can actually succeed, that they are eagles and not chickens. And if they associate with the chickens, they're never going to fly with the eagles. It is to understand that their life has this divine purpose, and that they're unique, and that they have their own story that is extraordinary.
See, and keep doing what you're doing, because I can see you are living within your purpose. You are
100%.
You are. So my next one for you is, a lot of the time we get judged constantly, how we look, how we speak, our presence, who we are. If I said to you to take the word judgment out of the dictionary or wherever it was, or I just took it out of the world completely, what would you do differently, knowing that nobody was judging you? Because we are so used to getting judged. What would you do differently if judgment was not in the world?
Nothing.
I like that.
Nothing. I'm unapologetically Nathaniel Peat. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? Yeah. It means I'm going to loose the bands of wickedness. It means I'm going to take the yoke of heaviness off the shoulders of individuals. It means I'm going to speak out for the voiceless that don't have a voice to speak. It means that I'm going to say something that is wrong if it is wrong.
Yes.
And, these are the things that make you an individual, to be unapologetic about who you are. And so I wouldn't do anything different. I'm trying to shake off all of the negative things on me, and the things that potentially could be judged, but I am, I'm just living my life, and every day I'm trying to go on a journey of personal development and self-improvement.
Which you are doing. I can see that even when you were saying, even when you was answering that question, I can see you went off into thought,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
for me, that always says to me a person showing their emotional and vulnerability within the question, which is why I love asking so many questions to people. So my next one for you is, when was the last time that you felt totally at peace with yourself?
This morning.
I often hear that.
Yeah, every morning. The stillness of the quietness of the morning. Like the optimum time to sleep is between 10 and 2 a.m. That is when the neural pathways in the brain are going to be, firing off. Your brain is going to be resting the best during those time periods.
Yes.
So when you wake up at 4 o'clock or 4:30 a.m. in the morning, after going to bed, I'm coming up to bedtime soon. I've got to start winding down soon. But when you set your time frame of when you go to bed and waking up in the morning, in the stillness of the morning,
Yes.
this is where the peace comes. And this comes because I'm engaged in this, in my spiritual sort of devotional time of connecting, on that level, outside of the noise of the digital space. I had something which I was walking in the in the like there's a nature kind of walk that we could go on where I live, and I was walking there in the morning one morning, and what dropped into my spirit was silence the noise of silence.
Mm.
And what does that mean? Silence the noise of silence. And then, what I realized it was the phone, because people are like this. Scroll.
I talk about that all the
Silence,
time.
silence, but the noise is here. The noise is here. And so silencing the noise of silence meant get your phone out of the room. When you wake up in the morning, do not check your phone. Oh, listen, gold dust. I would never ever abandon my morning meditationals now. My morning, listen, that is a sacred time. It's still. And when you study, in fact, a lot of billionaires, many of them wake up at 4 a.m., 4:30. A lot of successful people do that in the morning. And you'll be surprised the amount of clarity that you get. I'm a pretty intense person. Like, I'm quite deep. And what it does is it allows me the ability to have a clearer thought process.
Yes, I understand it completely. I wake up 5 o'clock every morning and meditate for an hour, and that gets me on my way for me to be able to do anything I want, and anything that I don't like or I feel is a negative, like you say, it bounces off. But I send it back to the person with love and ambience so that they understand that I am not on the same pathway as them.
That's it.
But I will understand what they are going through from a different perspective.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that's how you have to see life.
That's it. Some people are just hurt, and they're pushing their hurt towards you. The key thing is to not bark back. That's it. It's if someone's doing this at you, keeps on doing this to you, and they say bark, dog, bark, and you go woof. That person is getting control over you. And it's for you to basically maintain yourself. And me as an executive that has discovered that I have ADHD,
Yeah.
some of those strategies to help my brain to be stiller is because of the ADHD as well. And putting these things in place is as a result to manage the hyperactive brain that I have in my ADHD.
See, it's funny because I've worked with a few people who have ADHD. I also teach children who are autistic with creative writing, which I think is a beautiful thing to be able to do, to let them know that they're different in the world, but it's a beautiful difference that they are in the world. So even you who've worked with people like Richard Branson, he has dyslexia, I have dyslexia. So I understand the difference of being able to be different in the world, but still have something that is special in the world, which is so important to have. So if I was to say to you, what is the most proudest moment in your life today? I know there are many, but is there anything that stands out for you where you can say, I am proud to stand for this as a person. I am proud because this is who I am as a person.
I'm proud to be a dad.
I knew you was going to say that.
I'm proud to be a dad. You know, incredibly happy time was when I got married. Incredible happy time. You know, I'm proud to be a family man. I'm proud to be a family man. I'm proud. Yeah, I'm proud. I'm a proud dad. I really am. You know, and yeah.
I can see that. I can just see that energy. Yep. I am a dad and I love it. What is the best advice you have ever received from someone, and how has it helped you throughout your life?
Say what you're saying, but don't say what you know unless it's necessary.
I like that. It's good enough.
And yeah, that was told me by a very accomplished person.
It
Yeah,
makes
a
sense.
lot older than me also. Say what you're saying, but don't say what you know unless it's absolutely necessary. And I've taken that through absolutely, and it's navigated me in some very yeah, it's navigated me in some circles
And situations, I'm very sure.
situations. That's right.
I know that. If I was to put you on a desert island for 24 hours and I said, Nathaniel, you're allowed to take 3 people with you, one being an activist, one being a president, and one being a musician, who would you bring on that island to have a conversation with?
Wow, what Nelson Mandela, if you're still alive.
I think.
You know, um Bob Marley,
Oh,
uh,
interesting. Okay.
um Malcolm X.
That would be an awesome evening.
Yeah. Or I
Wow.
mean, it could be Malcolm X. It could be you know, others as well. You know, yeah. There's quite a few people, but yeah. Those are the ones which came up in my mind straight away.
That would be I'm just thinking of it right now. That would be an awesome 24 hours, and the conversation would be epic. Definitely. So in our lives, we do so much, but one thing we often don't necessarily talk about as much is our legacy. If I was to say to you, Nathaniel, if you've done everything in your life and you decide, and only when you decide that you were going to stop and just relax and live your life ambiently in your way, what would you like your legacy to be in the world when you decide that you are going to stop doing what you're doing and just watch life and just let it be? What would you like your legacy to be?
Yeah, that I managed to impact people's lives for the better. That I managed to impact you know many lives, whether it be through the work with Gen X, my solo company that has done work in Africa, whether it be the young people that we've worked in schools and colleges and PRUs, whether it be the prisoners that we've worked with, those who have been in probation or prison. It's so that I created an impact in their lives, and to be remembered through that, of reducing violence and saving people's lives, whether they be young people on county lines where we supported
Yeah.
them, just or families or parents that giving them hope that they can actually go on and achieve. That's and creating something that will change society, something that will change society. Um, you know, um, I can say that I've contributed to the training that the police officers are getting now, with the
Yeah.
Met. Um, I can say that I've got a footprint in helping the EY Foundation. I've got a footprint in helping Lloyd's Banking Group, and so these are all sort of things which contribute to some form of legacy. But yeah, definitely through my work at the Safety Box and Gen X, that is that legacy. of creating impact in their lives. Absolutely. Yeah, to show them that they they have hope.
See, and this is what I love. My last one for you is, Nathaniel, I would love for everyone to be able to find you. I know you spoke about the conference. I know you said your website of where you are, but I would love for everyone to be able to find you, contact you if they want more information to know about you. Where can everyone find you?
People can go to my website, www.nathanielpeat.com. I'm on most of the social media platforms, although I'm taking a break from Instagram at the moment. I'm going to be probably coming back on Instagram in April. So March has been my reset, because I take the spring as my new year. As
Yes.
the back in the day, the financial systems didn't change when everyone else wanted to change it in January. They kept it as being the new financial year, being April. So yeah, the spring is a nice time, and I think I'm coming to the end of the nature's cycle of coming out of the slumber into the newness. And so I've just removed myself a little bit from Instagram and Facebook. I've kept my LinkedIn kind of active a little bit, my Twitter, but X as they call it now. But I it's really for me to just recenter myself as I literally I'm following the sort of the cycle of how it is in society in nature. All of the trees start to come, the spring starts to come and spring starts to happen. So for me, this is my new season. And so I'm shedding off the old skin and shedding off and trying to get into the newness of tomorrow. So yeah, you can reach out to me on social media at Nat Peat on Instagram, Nathaniel Peat on LinkedIn, Nathaniel Peat on X, and my website www.nathanielpeat.com.
Nathaniel, this is where I want to say thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People show, for sharing your vulnerability, your kindness, your charisma, your personality, but most of all, letting people know who you really are and sharing your story in your way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's
been good. It's been good. Great stuff. Blessings, people. Have a really good night, everyone.
And thank you so much. And guys, I want to thank you so much for watching and listening to the Us People show. Please remember, you can connect with us on Apple TV, Fire TV, Freeview Channel 271, YouTube, LCBN. You can also listen to this again on Wednesday on Heart Songs Live at 9 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to the Us People podcast, which is out every Tuesday. And you can also join us and ask me any questions or just connect on Savia Rocks or the Us People podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another. Take care.
I got 4 GCSEs. You need 5 to get into college.
Yeah.
Hence, I had to use my friend's enrollment letter to get into the college. I queued up in the queue, got to the front. The man said, "You haven't got your grades, you're going to have to repeat your GCSEs." So I got up again, I walked around. Remember what was happening on the streets at the time? A lot of crime and violence was happening. A lot of gang issues were happening in the area. And I queued up again for another hour, got to the front. The man said, "You haven't got your grades, you're going to have to repeat your GCSEs." And I got up again and I walked around again, and I always remembered that, my dad saying to me, "Don't let anybody tell you can't achieve anything." And my dad being a Jamaican, my dad would say to me, "Nathaniel, unless you get into college, I'm going to kick you out of the house. Get into college, I'm going to kick you out of the house." That's my dad said to me, right? So I knew I had to get into college. The third time I queued up, the man said to me, and he looked at me as this black boy. I could see this, just this, "Why are you here? You don't belong here," in his eyes. And he said to me, "How did you get into the college?" Started to create a big fuss because I didn't have the grades. The woman sitting next to him was Anita, the head of the physics department. And she said, "Look, I've seen you come back 3 times. Anyone with that level of drive and determination,
Exactly.
I'm sure for A level in physics." She says, "I'm going to put you onto an AS level on the condition you pass your AS level physics. I will allow you to go to the second year, and you have to repeat your GCSE maths in college because you're going to need it for university.
Exactly.
It was at that moment that I understood that there was a guiding light to me. I believe in God, and I think that this was just telling me, go, just keep going, right? And I tell you, I realized at that point that no doesn't mean no unless I accept it to be a no.